I took I took some time off to rest, and now it's game time, bitches. You have no idea.
Sha'Carri Richardson had her Olympic dreams crushed last month after she was suspended from Team USA over a positive marijuana test. But luckily for the fastest woman in America, she'll have a chance to compete next week at the Prefontaine Classic in Eugene, Oregon, where she's set to race against Team Jamaica's Elaine Thompson-Herah, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, and Shericka Jackson. The three athletes recently won gold, silver, and bronze in the Tokyo Olympics 100-meter final. The same event Richardson was set to compete in before being disqualified. Thompson-Herah ran the event in 10.61 seconds, breaking the 10.62 record previously held by Florence Griffith Joyner. But Richardson isn't trying to prove anything as she faces off against the very women she would have competed against in the Tokyo Games. Her agent recently told the Wall Street Journal that Richardson is focused on running a good race to the best of her ability, regardless of who is in it. In June, when she won the women's 100-meter race at the track and field trials, also in Eugene, she ran a 10.86 100-meter. Following the trials, she lost her spot on Team USA after she tested positive for THC, a chemical in marijuana. Following the drug test results, Richardson told the Today Show, quote, "I know what I did. I know what I'm supposed to do and what I'm not allowed to do, and I still made that decision." She went on to explain that finding out about her mother's death the week before the trials was a heavy experience for her. She added, "Who am I to tell you how to cope when you're dealing with pain or you're dealing with a struggle that you've never experienced before?"
Sha'Carri Richardson practices the day before racing the Jamaican sprinters.
You want to do that, AB? You want to do that?
What, live?
Yeah.
I ain't going live. I'm going to have 100 people.
Hey, Gad, how much people you got on there?
Followers.
Radio? Who that? Who's on right there?
Come on, y'all.
That man had like a million.
First of all,
Right there.
come on, y'all.
Hold on, what?
Wait a minute. Hi.
Jumping?
Hello.
Jumping up.
Hi, everyone.
Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah, come jump on the live. You got Aaron Brown. Jerome. Y'all know who this is? Y'all know him? I think I know him. I know him. Dream Machine. Y'all want to see the man behind the man?
Down. We back.
You do this to me all the time, y'all.
But now, y'all.
Let's go, baby.
Time to go. Show tomorrow. Best of luck to everybody. We're all God's children.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Okay. Say bye. It's your 300 viewers. Say bye.
We're back with the track sensation who made a lot of headlines in the lead up to the Olympics, Sha'Carri Richardson.
Yeah, she returns to racing tomorrow, and get this, she's going up against the 100-meter medal winner she almost faced in Tokyo. And Tom, you had the chance to speak with Sha'Carri exclusively.
Yeah, that's right, Hoda. She's the fastest woman in America who couldn't run in Tokyo. Sha'Carri Richardson took the track by storm at this year's Olympic trials, winning the 100-meter race in spectacular fashion. But after testing positive for THC, she was suspended and left off Team USA. Now she's back on the scene and ready to compete. First question, how are you feeling?
I am feeling excited. I'm feeling overjoyed getting back to doing what it is that I love to do.
Sha'Carri Richardson says she's back and ready to run. Set to hit the same track where her dreams came true and where they just as quickly slipped away.
How was it to watch the Tokyo Games?
It was a moment of bitterness, but at the same time, it was sweet because it just gives me more. It gives me more time. It gives me more to show the world that I'm here to stay. And it just guarantees that I'm going to be here just a little bit longer in the game. But definitely watching it made me want to push forward and just grow from that.
Just weeks after triumphantly winning the 100 meters and punching her ticket to Tokyo, Sha'Carri failed a drug test, testing positive for THC, violating anti-doping rules. The 21-year-old telling Savannah she used marijuana after the sudden loss of her biological mother days before trials.
Right now, I'm just putting all of my time and energy into dealing with what I need to deal with to heal myself. Don't judge me, because I am human. I'm you. I just happen to run a little faster.
You took responsibility. Why?
I know what I did. I know I'm responsible, and I'm here to take what it is that I have to take from the choices that I decided to make. You can't run from reality. It's still going to be there, no matter how long you choose to ignore it, no matter how long you choose to think it's not going to go away.
There's been a discussion now about the use of marijuana and rules and laws that may or may not change. Will that impact in any way anything for you going forward?
No, not at all. If those rules do change, honestly, I'm just blessed that and proud of the fact that I could do that for other athletes.
And now Sha'Carri says she's taking steps to better her mental health, joining a growing chorus of elite athletes who are reminding their fans we're human too.
I'm doing a whole lot better, and I'm actually proud to just continue on this journey. We want to perform for you guys, and we want you to put on the best performance for you guys, but at the same time, we're here just like you are. When we step off the track, when we step off the football field, when we step off the court, we go live life just like you do. It's just for a certain amount of time, we just look like superheroes.
She is 100% Sha'Carri Richardson.
Tomorrow, all eyes will be back on Sha'Carri at the Prefontaine Classic in Oregon, where she'll face off against the trio of Jamaican women who swept the 100 meters in Tokyo, including a first-time matchup with the two-time 100-meter gold medalist Elaine Thompson-Herah.
With this first race coming back, it's a thank you, because at the end of the day, I didn't make a mistake, but that doesn't take away from my talent. That doesn't take away from who I am.
So true, and she is so honest and brave. Sha'Carri will also run in the women's 200 meters alongside Allison Felix and Gabby Thomas from Team USA. And you can watch the Prefontaine Classic tomorrow here on NBC and streaming on Peacock. Coverage begins at 4 p.m. Eastern. Guys, this is the race we didn't get to see in Tokyo.
It's
so it's going to be so much fun to watch tomorrow.
Tokyo 2.0.
For those of us, Olympics withdrawal. No, we'll watch that. It's going to be good.
In sports news this morning, track sensation Sha'Carri Richardson is set to return to racing for the first time since she missed the Tokyo Olympics. Richardson, as you may remember, won the 100-meter sprint during the Olympic trials, but she was disqualified after she tested positive for using marijuana. Today, she will run against the 3 Jamaican Olympic medalists in the 100-meter race, as well as American sensation Allison Felix in the 200-meter. You can watch Richardson and other top athletes at the Prefontaine Classic. That starts at 4:30 Eastern, right here on NBC.
And you kind of feel like marijuana would not be a performance enhancer, so if she's clean, she's going to run off that track. It'll be fun to watch her.
It's going to be really fun to watch all of those folks.
This crowd is completely hushed.
Richardson said she didn't think that she would be nervous coming into this race, but wants to perform well, and she is sandwiched between the 2 greatest Jamaican sprinters ever.
And arguably 2 of the best ever. So before this race even starts, 2 10.6s versus all these 10.7s never happened before in history.
Women's 100. And a good start for Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price. Thompson-Herah, Richardson being left behind, and out in front, the Olympic champion does it again.
10.54. That is the second fastest time ever. Only Floto has run better, and the Olympic champion reminds you why she is the twice now reigning Olympic champ. That was an amazing 100 meters. She made it look easy. No contest. What happened to Sha'Carri Richardson? So the Olympic podium comes to Pre and duplicates their finish there. Thompson-Herah first, Fraser-Price second, Jackson third, and it's Tiana Daniels with a big step up in form to run 10.83 for fourth. So here is Elaine Thompson-Herah. Since she got third at the Jamaican Olympic trials, she has been on a tear. Her coach said she's in the shape of her life, and she has proven it. No contest at the Olympics and no contest here. There is no question who the world's fastest woman is. It's Elaine Thompson-Herah of Jamaica. And her countrywomen did a good job as well. 10:73 for Shelly Ann Fraser-Price and 76 for Shericka Jackson. And look at the reaction of the Olympic champion. Yet another personal best for her in 2021.
She was already in rarefied company as being only one of two people to have won back-to-back 100 and 200 Olympic doubles. That, of course, Usain Bolt. But this kind of performance absolutely reinforces what we saw in Tokyo. Meantime, Sha'Carri Richardson finishing 9th in the race, and she's with Lewis Johnson.
Well, Sha'Carri, what was your expectation as you came out here today to face these ladies from the Olympic Games?
Coming out today, it was a great return back to the sport. I wanted to be able to come in before, having a month off, dealing with all I was dealing with. I'm not upset at myself at all. This is one race. I'm not done. You know what I'm capable of. Count me out if you want to. Talk all the you want, because I'm here to stay. I'm not done. I'm the 6th fastest woman in this game ever. And can't nobody ever take that from me. Congratulations to the winners. Congratulations to the people that won, but they're not done seeing me yet. Period.
All right. Thank you, Sha'Carri. Oh, Lord. The Delta variant. They clowning this broad hard as fuck. Woo! Oh shit.
Y'all all are in there. I represent you guys. So, like I said, don't take today as an L for us, because we're not going nowhere.
Behind the L's and W's.
What? Okay.
Any more races for you this season?
Oh, definitely. There probably a couple, 1 or 2 more, but yeah, we can't finish like this.
Yeah, for sure.
You mentioned the journey obviously of Fraser. What has this taught you? Oh, what this has taught me is moving forward. No matter what it is, the situation, the circumstance, you can't sit and dwell, because if you sit and dwell, you would never go up. when you down, the only way is up if you see it that way. So not even feeling like I'm down, I feel like I'm going forward. This is one day, tomorrow's another day, and going from there, and the days just run together. But all overall, I know what it is that I need to do. We know what it is that I can do, and y'all are gonna see it. Period.
I know you probably don't want to dwell too much on it, but what do you feel did go wrong in the race?
Honestly, nothing. I am my biggest enemy. In all honesty, I wasn't focused on my lane. I wasn't focused on what it is in me. But at the end of the day, no excuses. Not at all. It's time to get back in the lab and do what it is that I need to do. Congratulations to the women that won. I love women, no matter what the flag is, no matter what brand you wear. I love successful women, and I hope that they continue to be just as successful as they're doing, and continue to thrive in their career. But I'm definitely going to thrive, and I'm definitely going to continue to show the world why I'm that girl.
Period.
Because what I'm going to say in this video, I know is going to be a hard pill to swallow, offensive and downright hurtful to a lot of shallow individuals. I know that the potential for this video to be flagged down as hate speech is extremely high. So let me say at the off start that this same exact video is going to be also uploaded and featured on our very own FSavenger.com website. In the case this video is removed, you can just go over to FSavenger.com and see it anyway. The link to the backup video where you can view it will also be down in the description box. And in the event that I have any problems, I will be sending out a mass email of that link to all of you who are signed up to us over at FSavenger.com. Furthermore, as I have explained in my last handful of videos here on ScrewTube, I never thought I would be in a position where I would be making commentary back on YouTube, but I have a batch, as I've also explained, of it's right now teetering at around 25 videos, and that's about the max capacity that I can do for a batch of videos without, you know, wasting a whole lot of time, because it takes a lot of time for production, compression, and this doesn't even include my major project, climbing Mount Dusty. So this batch is going to be for pay-per-view only, exclusively for 1 week. All sneak peek members and Brian's Corner Club members, Brian Blog's Corner Club members over on Patreon, they will get 1 week exclusive access to these 24 something videos, and then a week later it will be released to the public. I don't want to add to that pay-per-view batch, so any videos that I feel compelled to make outside of that batch, instead of trying to make a promotional video and furthering, you know, time wasting and effort that I should be using on finishing this batch, I just go ahead and just, you know, go impromptu and just post whatever, you know, commentary I produce outside of that batch. So just so long as you guys understand it. Also, one more thing, as I've stated, as soon as I am done with this fucking batch, things are going back to normal. A brother, he congratulated me on returning to YouTube. I said, thank you, brother, but no, I'm not back here permanently. Okay, I know what time it is. They're not flagging as many people's videos and channels as they used to, but they are still heavily censoring people. Okay, and this is only temporary. YouTube is strictly a place for me to promote my commentary on my alternative platform, which is FSavenger.com. Okay, so yeah, this is very temporary. Don't get used to hearing me here. But anyway, okay, so we got that out of the way. Now, back to what I said in the beginning. I understand that this is going to hurt a lot of feelings. Now, if you knew the old Brian Solange, you would know that I wouldn't give a damn whose toes I'm stepping on, whose feelings I'm hurting. Okay? And I still don't. But I also understand this is YouTube, and it's very easy to flag something as hate speech or violation of community guidelines, even though everybody at this point is ripping into this ThotBot by the name of Sha'Carri Richardson. Okay. So I go into this with that understanding, okay, that there's a lot of butthurt people. Most of them are going to be these pro-black, B1, Hotep, goofies, and these strong independent, outspoken, unbothered black American females. Okay? So I know they're going to be itching at the opportunity. However, if I didn't put it in the title, okay, I'm just going to say it at the off start before I even start breaking shit down. Okay? Sha'Carri Richardson at this point is a reflection of why black women as a collective cannot win. Let me say it again. Sha'Carri Richardson is a reflection. She is a poster child example as to why what y'all call the BAW, or the Black American woman, takes so many L's and simply cannot win. Now, usually I break shit down before I drop the bomb, but this time I'm doing it in reverse. Okay? So let's kind of understand what we're looking at here. Okay? We're looking at how old is this young lady? What is she, 21, 22 years old? I don't know. You know what? Let me look it up. I want to be thorough. Give me 1 second. Let me look it up. Okay, as I figured, the girl, she's 21. Okay. We're talking about a 21-year-old girl, young female here. Okay. She explodes onto the scene via media hype. Okay, let's just be honest. She didn't really have any real accomplishments, at a pro level under her belt. The media, the American media, hyped her up. Okay, particularly after her Olympic pre-trials in Oregon. Okay, where she finished first place, and she qualified for the Olympic team. Okay, and that compared with her crazy long nails and red weave while running that race, it put her at the pedestal of media hype. She was the talk of the town. Okay, then what was it? A couple of weeks later, she's getting tested, right, by the IOC, and she tests positive for THC, which is a chemical compound found in marijuana. Okay, and then she gets disqualified. Now, at that point, and keep in mind, guys, I really hate I have to do this video like this, because in the pay-per-view, this is the irony, and this just gives you an idea of how fucking long it's taken me for the pay-per-view batch. In the pay-per-view batch, I actually have a video where I'm giving commentary, on the first controversy with Sha'Carri Richardson, which of course is what we're talking about now, where, she got banished from the Olympics because she got caught smoking marijuana, basically. And, I was kind of, giving my whole take on that. So, forgive me. This is kind of going backwards. It's going to be going in reverse because of a video I already have in the batch. But, okay, so she tests positive, and, she gets banned. A lot of people are upset, primarily, the younger generations of, strong black independent black females and their, willing simps. They're upset about this. The hoteps are upset about this. And you have, on the other side of the spectrum, regardless of race, you have pro-marijuana advocates that are upset about this. This girl with the fire red hair, that won the pre-trial, even though it wasn't the actual Olympics. She's sparking this huge controversy about marijuana. Of course, the people who want to play the race card, and keep in mind, I myself am black and African American, for those of you who don't know, because I know the potential for this video to go viral, given the subject. For those of you who first listening to me, no, I'm not a white supremacist. I'm black, okay? But, on the other side, A lot of Negroes were playing the race card saying they won't let her race because she's black. The stupidity of that, of course, was when you look, everybody else on the track was black. Some of them were blacker than her. I mean, it just didn't make any fucking sense. Okay. And so, as we know, during the Olympics, the Jamaican women's team, they pretty much swept, I think, what was the 100-meter race. They swept it. I think they won gold, silver, and bronze. And Sha'Carri, you know, she's doing what young black females do. And she's, you know, on social media, running her mouth, making excuses, attacking, counterattacking, talking about she's the best. Do they miss her at the Olympics? All this stuff. And people saying, well, America didn't win nothing in the 100-meter because Sha'Carri wasn't there. Blah, 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 more blah, blah, blah. Okay? So I think there was she got even wound up, you know, she got hyped so much by the media, she got super celebrity status overnight to the point where she was on a status level where she was beefing with Nicki Minaj. Another thought bot, but in a different arena. And, you know, people were acting like this girl was like the Michael Johnson or the Jesse Owens or Florence Griffith Joyner of track racing, right? And let me just say, at the All-Star, especially when you hear the first video I actually made about this in the batch, you'll understand that pre what we saw yesterday, I was actually feeling a little bit sorry for this girl, because I said, okay, yes, she's ghetto, she's hood, okay, you know, but, you know, I mean, she's a young girl with dreams. She's an athlete, you know. She did win the pre-trial, you know, in it, cause, you know, we have a little bit of interest. I've never been athletic, but we have a little bit of interest in professional athletics. So let's get a girl a chance. Let's see what happens in 4 years in the next Olympics. You know, okay, she made a mistake. Her mother died. Okay. You know, let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Give her the benefit of the doubt. Okay? That, you know, look, man, when I saw her on the Today Show, the interview after she got suspended for testing positive for THC, when I saw those goofy looking eyelashes and that white blonde weave, my first reaction, I wanted to go all out and just call her a fat bot. But, you know, when I started, you know, really kind of looking into it and saw that she did win the race, it's not like she got disqualified because she lost the race. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, okay? Because, you know, I'm not a hype person. I'm not a person that chases clout. The only reason I'm making this video is because I have to make a point. Otherwise, you know, this would just have to wait on the list like, you know, climbing Mount Dusty and everything else. But, flash forward 1 to 2 months later. Okay, she missed out on the Olympics. But now the stage is set on the same track where she qualified. It wasn't even a different track, y'all. Do y'all understand that? Okay? In Oregon, she was on the same track for this whatever competition this was. I think it was sponsored by Nike, put on by Nike. I forget the name of it, but she was on the same track where she not only qualified, but finished first place in the pre-trials 2 months ago. Okay? So it's the same track. She's familiar with it. She won the race last time, smoked the competition even though she had a slow start. Okay? So now this could potentially, you know, she's being hyped by like, you know, Drake and who was that other music artist that she collabed with? I forget. I think Beats by Dre collabed with her. I mean, black people and liberals are giving this girl all this. They're giving her all this hype, along with the media, giving her all this hype, like she's Michael Jordan or LeBron James status, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, you know, her missing out on the Olympics and everybody crying about it and saying, you know, this is why, you know, America lost and you know, they're just messing with her because, you know, she's a strong young black woman and all this other crap. this could even be better for her than the Olympics, because now she can prove all the naysayers wrong, right? She can prove that she should have been on that track and that America and the world did miss out on something by, excluding her from the Olympics, banning her from the Olympics. That America can and people can be forever reminded in this next non-Olympic competition that, America, the United States, lost out on gold, silver, and bronze in 2021, which was really supposed to be 2020 in Tokyo, because Sha'Carri Richardson wasn't on the track, right? So the competition starts, and I'm looking, and I swear, y'all, dude, right before the competition started, right before it started, I looked, and I saw that she was the only girl on the fucking track with her, not only a weave on, but a weave that was hanging down. Her weave or her wig or whatever, it wasn't tied back in a ponytail. Her weave is literally touching the fucking ground where her feet and her hands are. And from that moment on, I knew one thing. Well, actually, I knew several things. I knew that her priorities were not right. I knew that she had not properly trained, conditioned, or planned for this race. And I knew what I really knew 2 months ago, but I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. But I knew also that she was pretty much like every other Black American female and what I call thoughtbot of her generation here in our society. And this is the painful part. That is why she not only lost, that is why she finished dead fucking last in that race. And I know that hurts. It does. But let me break it down for you further. Okay? Let me break it down for you further. Okay, so first of all, notice what happened at the end of the race. Okay? All the girls on the track except Sha'Carri Richardson congratulating each other. Okay? They're just happy to be in the race. A lot of them, they knew that, they weren't going to be, in the top 3 or at the finish line. But they were just happy to be in the race. They're congratulating the other girls. And you see Sha'Carri, she's walking off all prideful and embarrassed at the same time. And I don't know how many other people caught that. But because I'm such a deep thinker, well, you really don't have to be a deep thinker. I mean, all you got to do is observe what happened. Sha'Carri starts walking off, okay, without congratulating anybody. She's suffering from a mixture of emotions, including, embarrassment, shame, and a false sense of pride, right? And, her insecurities are kicking in. Did you see what Sha'Carri did when she walked off the track? She went to leave the stadium, but then she started looking around for the cameras and the microphone. Like she immediately, by default, she started looking to make excuses for herself. She knew that the cameras were going to be on her. She knew that the hype was on her. And she knew that she was expected to perform better than that. And when she got her ass handed to her, she immediately looked to start making excuses, And what she didn't understand was, honey, at this point, you don't really have to try to save face because there's nothing to save. You got smoked, as a lot of people said in the titles of their videos. But this isn't just about Sha'Carri Richardson. On a side note, from whether you're talking about this COVID-19 fear-mongering or, whether you're talking about, hyping this young girl up who clearly, as we can now see, wasn't ready. The hype, as it usually is, was, worth, less than the reality of the situation actually was. Okay? This is the dangers, and I'm speaking to everybody right now. Not just black people, not just black women, not just Sha'Carri, but this is the dangers of allowing the media, whether you're talking about mass media, social media, or a combination of both. This is the dangers of allowing media, mass media, to control the narrative, okay? Without using critical thinking skills, okay? Without doing research, okay? Without drawing your own conclusions, and without putting in, the work to properly evaluate the situation, and yes, even at times the individual, okay? The truth of the matter was, Sha'Carri Richardson was losing from the moment she chose willingly to take a banned substance before the Olympics, okay? Not because necessarily just because she made a mistake, but because she has a lot of growing up to do. She's not a fully matured adult, as with, unfortunately, a lot of black people, younger and some of them older, okay? There's a huge part of her that's immature, okay? The same reason why she didn't make the Olympics, even after, doing so well in the pre-trials, is the same reason why she got obliterated in this race and finished dead last, okay? Her focus was not where it's supposed to be. Even after the race, her focus wasn't where it was supposed to be. She goes looking for the cameras to try to do what black females typically do, which is get attention, even after the fact of suffering such an embarrassing loss, okay? But, in a slight bit of defense of her, not much, but in a slight bit of defense of her, that's not, as I said, completely her fault. Because, again, people allow the media to, hype up, whether it's fear-mongering or whether it's, hyping somebody up and putting them on an undeserved pedestal. People being visual creatures, okay? People react to things that they see and hear, okay, before they actually think and, like I said, do research and evaluate themselves. So what the media says, whether it's network media or social media, what mass media says, we tend to believe. And a majority of people who didn't have me convinced, but a majority of people, they had them believing that this girl was the fastest woman in the world and that she was, on the heels of FloJo, aka Florence Griffith Joyner, and that she was going to break all kinds of records and win all kinds of gold medals. And the truth of the matter is, not only was she not ready for the Olympics, she was never ready. Okay? She was never ready. She got a second chance and she completely fucking blew it. And she will never be bigger than she is right now. I guarantee you that. When the race was over with, I see, these dark-skinned black Jamaican women. And I see the winner, I forget her name, but this dark-skinned, I'm looking at this girl. She turns around, the Jamaican girl that won, and she won gold in the Olympics. And I'm looking at her from behind. And I'm like, I'm looking at her and I'm looking at this little ass girl, Sha'Carri Richardson from Texas. And I'm saying, okay, Sha'Carri, she's muscular too, but I'm looking at the physique of this Jamaican girl. I'm like, why would y'all count her out? What person in their right mind? I mean, this is a thoroughbred, bruh. This is a thoroughbred. This girl got hips and upper muscles like a damn, seriously, like a thoroughbred stallion. Like, why would you think that she wouldn't have a snowball's chance in hell against a Sha'Carri Richardson, which is one of the shortest, from my understanding, track and field athletes in track and field history, at least those that get acknowledged or given any type of credibility. I'm like, anybody who put their money strictly on Sha'Carri Richardson and just counted these other girls out, even though the Jamaican team proved themselves in the Olympics, winning gold, silver, and bronze, I believe. Even though they swept the Olympics, people are still talking about what Sha'Carri is going to do. What Sha'Carri's going to do. And the only thing Sha'Carri did was solidify what me and really a lot of other people, including the white liberal media that hyped her up to begin with, already knew. Which was that, like most black American females, she's all, well, I ain't gonna say she's all talk. She's mostly talk, but no bulk. She's all say, but no play. She's a lot of bark, but no bite. I mean, she's fame with no game. And is it just me, or did anybody else catch how the other girls almost deliberately ignored Sha'Carri? And the strange thing was, it wasn't just the Jamaican girls that swept the Olympics. Like, did you notice how the American girls were congratulating the Jamaican girls, and all them black girls sitting up there congratulating each other, right? And, you know, this is another one of the, this can also exemplify one of the dangers of, you know, all this feminist pseudo-masculine nonsense that we see from the black American female, that she's so independent and strong and, you know, she's an immovable object. And we've seen her both here on social media and in other situations where she's gotten in, you know, tough spots, and she's been unable to get out of them because she was completely on her own. She was alone. She was isolated. Okay, I told you guys the story of Jacqueline Villa Gomez, the chick that was beaten to death by her white military boyfriend. She's the only chick in a group of white people, you know, just surrounded by white folks, and she feels so comfortable and so protected. Yet when it came down to it, everybody acted like who done it and why, you know, after that domestic violence situation, which she initiated by nonetheless. But you know, I've tried in the past to warn black people as a collective, and I've spoken about black women, black American women in particular, that when you stick out like a sore thumb and you make yourself obvious, you also make yourself vulnerable. Okay. And when people know that, you know, you're in you have a hyped up status and being put on an undeserved pedestal, even people that are supposed to be on your team will turn against you. Okay. The girls that walked past and treated her, it wasn't just a Jamaican girl. There was an American girl there walking off too. They all got together and said, we're going to treat her ass even after we beat her ass. Right. Because even Sha'Carri's American. She's from Texas, Dallas, Texas, right? The other girls don't like her, not just because of her arrogant attitude, but because they know she is in a position, a hyped up position, that she is undeserving of. Okay? They all out there working hard, you know, running hard, training hard, and she just on social media just acting a fucking fool, acting like her mouth is going to get her that gold medal, or that mouth is going to help her break records. Okay? So really, her and the media isolated her. Okay? And you know, the other girls probably also don't appreciate how people were trying to pull the race card when everybody who qualified for the Olympics and won and was racing even in this race was black. You didn't see a single white girl out there. It wasn't nothing but Negroes. So how the fuck can you play the race card and say, oh, well, they not being fair to Sha'Carri because she black and they just don't want to see black women succeed. So what are these other people out here? Aliens? Female aliens? Or black female humans? See, that's what happens when you try to put yourself on that strong and independent pedestal. Okay? You make enemies where there was no need to make them. and you isolate yourself and you make yourself more vulnerable. Now don't nobody, including people on your team, like your ass. They siding with the competition. I mean, that was really something for me to see, for all them girls of all them different countries to be congratulating each other while ignoring Sha'Carri. I think there was a girl there from France. There were several girls there from the United States and Jamaica. All of them, Sha'Carri just standing out like a sore thumb. She's all on her own. That's a tough spot to be in, man. But black women keep giving, with the acknowledgement that it was black women who won the race and left their ass in the dust. Black women, they keep creating L's. They don't just take L's. People always say they take L's. They create L's for themselves to take, bruh. I mean, how do you explain a person that was hyped this hard? How do you explain a person that was hyped this hard not only missing the Olympics for smoking marijuana? And we're gonna cycle around to that. The excuse that was made about her mother passing, we're gonna cycle around to that. I know that's gonna make people mad, but we're gonna cycle back around to that. But how do you justify? How do you make sense of somebody who missed the Olympics because of a mistake they made? And granted, many other athletes missed out because they had chemical components that were banned in their bloodstream when they were tested. Okay, she's not the first one. Like y'all will hear me say in the saved pay-per-view batch video on Sha'Carri and the earlier incident that there was this Romanian gymnast from many moons ago, like 20 years ago, Andreea Raducan, who had her individual gold medal stripped because she took some cold medication for a cold that she had right before the competition, and her coach was pleading with the IOC, please don't do this to this young girl. She worked her ass off to get here. These girls come from really poor villages where being a gymnast is all they have, and they took her shit. And there was controversy even over here in the United States. Everybody was angry. Most people don't even remember Andreea Raducan, but that was the last time I seriously watched the Olympics. That was back in the year 2000, Sydney, Australia. That was because I really don't pay this stuff, Academy Awards, the Olympics. I really don't give a fuck to the shit about any of it. I really don't. That stuff dropped off with me. That train left the station a long time ago. But it was a big worldwide controversy, them stripping Andreea Raducan of the individual gold in gymnastics because she took medication for a cold. Is the IOC petty? Yeah. But, okay, the difference between Andreea Raducan, or even if we go back to Joe Louis, another wonderful example, okay? Joe Louis, in his prime, he was the greatest boxer of all time, okay? Nobody could defeat him. Then came this German dude, this slow German dude that was on the opposite end of his career, named Matt Schmeling, that everybody was saying shouldn't have had a snowball's chance in hell against Joe Louis. And he wound up knocking Joe Louis out. And I forget what round it was. Somebody help me. I think it was the 8th round. I don't know. In 1936. At the same time, after the fight, Matt Schmeling was used as a propaganda tool by Adolf Hitler and the Nazis going into the 1938 Olympics and preceding the beginning of World War II with the invasion of Poland, of course. Matt Schmeling was seen as, an example of Aryan supremacy, right? Well, of course, we know that it later came out that Joe Louis was partying. He was screwing girls. He wasn't doing what he was, he wasn't on his A game. He was goofing off, doing everything that he shouldn't have been doing. He should have been training harder. He didn't take Schmeling serious. Schmeling, saw his weaknesses, planned to counter them, and he won, even though he was fighting a superior fighter. Now, the difference is, okay, Joe Louis, like Andreea Raducan, when they came back as professional athletes in their respective competitions, unlike Sha'Carri Richardson, okay, They excelled, and they made up for the point where they first failed. Okay, Joe Louis destroyed Matt Schmeling in the second fight, in the rematch, in less than a round. Okay, Andrea Raducanu, I believe she won both team gold and individual gold in the next Olympics. But what we see with Sha'Carri Richardson is that this girl is not focused, and she's not focused because her priorities are not straight, and her priorities are not straight because she's being given undeserved hype as some type of queen, as some type of track and field royalty that she hasn't even earned or proven yet. And that is going to her head. Okay? And unfortunately, you can see it. You can, look, if I was Sha'Carri Richardson's management, if I was her agent, because she was getting endorsements. Those endorsements going to dry up. She talking about it ain't over. You going to see me again. No, we're not, Sha'Carri. I'm sorry to tell you, honey. I'm sorry to tell you, when you're a professional athlete, especially, you can get away with certain shit when you're in a team sport, okay? But when you're an individual athlete, you only have so much time, okay? And you only have so many tries to prove yourself to the powers that be, okay? Now, if you can prove yourself, yeah, they're gonna give you endorsements. They're gonna give you gifts. They're gonna hype you up. You're gonna be on commercials and interviews on talk shows, late night shows. They're gonna do everything in their power to hype you up. Why? Because they see you as useful. Okay. But now you are continuously. You have as the person in the last post that I showed before I started giving my commentary, they said you have a history now, Sha'Carri, of being, like most black females in our society, consistently inconsistent. What do we see with the pattern of black females? They talk a big game. They write checks that their arses cannot cash. Okay? They act big and tough, and then when they can't prove with all that bark that they are what they say they are, they play a victim. They say, it's not an L. I'm unbothered. And when it's all said and done, they go into the little corner, like I'm sure Sha'Carri is doing right now, and cries. Now, there is a small part of me that wants to feel just a little bit sorry for Sha'Carri, and I only say that for this one reason. Because, like I said at the beginning, this girl, she's young, okay? She's a ThotBot, but she's young, okay? And she was undeservingly given a lot of hype. She's what they call being too young and too green, okay? She was made green too fast, okay? Black women, including young black girls like her, they have a lot of issues with self-esteem and insecurity. Okay? We see that every single day across social media. When, this Thoughtopsy series that I have coming out, I'm going to share some of the myrta, some of the turds that I've seen just skimming over these females' Facebook timelines of some of the stories that I'm going to be showing you. These females contradict themselves more than the Iraqi information minister. Okay? They act like they don't know north from south, up from down, right from left. Okay? They make no sense. One moment they say they through with niggas and niggas ain't shit. The next moment they talking about, they lonely. They need a boyfriend. Where are all the good men at? They're confused. They make no sense. But look, Sha'Carri, you can clearly see her insecurity showing in she just had to make more of a fool out of herself than she already did. It's clear she didn't train the way she was supposed to. Her ego got out ahead of her, what should have been her athletic instinct, training, and conditioning. Okay? She started believing the hype. Okay? And then when she not only lost, I mean, she could have made the argument, if you come in behind a woman who finished second place in record behind Florence Griffith Joyner, okay, the greatest female track and field athlete of all time. If you finish second behind a woman who finished first place, who finished in record second behind FloJo, yes, you and Sha'Carri Richardson can easily make the argument, okay, I came up a little short, but I'm still on your tail. I'm still damn good, okay? And we still would have saw what happened at the Olympics. But honey, come on, let's be real. You finished ninth. And for a person being hyped like you, of your athletic ability, don't get it twisted. The girl, you know, she has some skill. Otherwise, she wouldn't have won the pre-trials the way she did, especially being able to accelerate the way she did with the tremendously slow start that she had. Even one of the white narrators that was looking at the pre-trial, the Olympic pre-trial, said she has a really slow start and she's going to have to do better than that when she goes into the Olympics up against, you know, better sprinters. Okay? But, okay, you finished dead last, honey. Dead last. For somebody of what the media would have us believe is your caliber, okay, the achievement you made at the pre-trials, there could only be one excuse for that, okay? You believed your own hype, okay? Well, a couple excuses. You believed your own hype. You didn't train and condition the way you were supposed to, and nobody can convince me that that weave that you had drooping over your damn head and hitting that track did not contribute to why you were not able to get off the early momentum to finish at least in the top 3 of those who went over the finish line first. Okay? Every other girl, from what I saw, had her hair tied up in a knot or short wig, weave, or their natural hair. You got a blonde white weave like Beyonce's goofy ass at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, drooping over your head, touching the ground where you can't even see the fucking track hardly. That right there lets me know where your mind is at. Okay? I mean, let's just be realistic for a second, okay? Why did the media really hype Sha'Carri Richardson up in the first place? Was it because she was the favorite? I mean, you saw all them buck strong thoroughbred. There wasn't nothing but black girls there. Everybody talking about she missed the Olympics because she's black and they don't want black people to achieve. That's asinine. All of the fucking people who qualified were black, and most of them were blacker than her. What are they talking about? The reason why the media was hyping her, the liberal media was hyping her, is because, let's face it, Sha'Carri Richardson, you know, yes, she may be an amazing track and field athlete, but she's ratchet, okay? She's ratchet, she's ghetto, she's hood. Like, I didn't want to say it at first. You know, I've kind of evolved to the point where I'm like, okay, we know the facts, but you ain't got to come out and say them right away. Just kind of hang back and see what's going to happen. Give it the benefit of the doubt. But I'm going to say it now. She's ratchet. And what have we seen? There are two things that the American liberal media have been pushing very heavy with black women. Interracial relationships and the strong, outspoken, independent, most educated, queen of the universe image of black women that don't need no man, aka black man. Okay, they've been pushing this narrative now really hard for the last decade. Okay, and you key in that with this mixture of toxic femininity, aka feminism, or what I call militant feminism, and you have a recipe for disaster. Okay, you go on to social media, these females, you hear them talking about only a handful of topics. And two of those topics are about other females that they're beefing with or that they think are jealous of them. And 2, about the dick of some dude, usually a Negro, that they're hopping up and down on, or they want to hop up and down on, or that they're hopping up and down on and some side chick is hopping up and down on, or they're confused that, they thought that the other girl was a side chick and they're actually a side chick, yada, yada, yada. Okay? But one thing you understand when you look at the social media of a lot of black females, and I'm talking about from these insta-thoughts all the way down to these lower level hood rats, okay? They all have mental problems, and a lot of those mental problems stem from the insecurities and low self-esteem that they have. What they did to this poor girl, the media, yes, she's very talented, I'll give her that, but they hyped this girl up, okay? They boosted her self-esteem, okay? And tried to help her cover her insecurities, knowing that if that deck of cards fell, she was going to collapse in the public eye. And I will say, as a so-called African American, I know why the media, although I know why the media was hyping this girl, because, she is a mirror reflection, because there were other black girls there, too, that were pretty good sprinters, that were from represent the United States. They picked Sha'Carri Richardson to hype, not because she was the best track runner, because she is the image of the younger generation of black American female that we see wreaking havoc in Blackistan today. Okay? I mean, we just got to call it for what it is. I know it's painful. I know a lot of people are butthurt, but we just got to call it for what it is. But see, they knew also, just like with these Black Lives Matter protests, when the cop is put on trial and they usually get off scot-free, the Derek Chauvin situation, that was an exception to the rule, okay? The media will hype black people up because they know most black people are followers. Unfortunately, too many of us act like, a lot of us, we don't have the level of intelligence that you really need to thrive in this world. So they will hype us up, get us emotional, and make us think as a collective that there's some genuine chance of, getting a victory in this. And then, the cop gets off and everybody wants to get mad, when the truth of the matter is, it was always going to be considered whether it was or wasn't a justifiable shooting. Well, they did the same thing with Sha'Carri. They hyped her up, made her and everybody else think that she was the next FloJo. And the truth of the matter is, the girl just ain't ready. Even if she has the legs and the physical ability to be at FloJo's level or better than FloJo's level, or a Jackie Joyner Kersee even, okay? Not only would she not have finished dead last, okay? She wouldn't be breaking down, making a complete ass of herself, on top of constantly losing on social media and in front of news cameras. Okay? When that girl, in that post interview, when she said, when first of all, the post interview right after the race, where one of the Jamaican girls and 2 other girls, they walked. Black girls are so petty. That black Jamaican chick just had to walk behind her and treat her ass like that. Everybody saw that. She did that on purpose. We all know that. She walked behind Sha'Carri. She was talking shit to the reporters, and she smiled. Black females are so petty. But anyway, in that interview, when she started off, trying to remain graceful, even though you saw that she was kind of torn up inside. Then she started getting into that ratchet mode, Yeah, you can talk all the shit you want, nigga. Yo, West Side, nigga, like she was like Tupac reincarnated or something. Black people don't understand These people in the media, they intentionally put you in spots so that you can be the laughing stock of civilization, so that people can laugh at you. The media continuously does this to sneak diss you, and you niggas don't even see it. You always jump on the hype train, always jump on the bandwagon. You always take the bait. Always. And this is what we saw with Sha'Carri Richardson. Okay? You got this girl's head blown up, knowing, I mean, the mere fact that, we're going to get to the marijuana thing in a minute, but knowing that, she's already blew one chance, okay? She had a slow start in the pre-trials, even though she won, okay? And now here she is, she finished dead last, and she can't even walk away graceful. It would have been in her best interest not to even be interviewed, okay? Not to even be interviewed, okay? Her manager, whoever her manager or agent is, she needs to fire them, or her camp needs to fire them, okay? Because Sha'Carri Richardson is completely ruining her image. She doesn't even realize it, okay? She's going to be seen as the star that could have been, but never was, okay? It's one thing to take a loss. We all take a loss. It's one thing to make a mistake. We all make a mistake. But when you get your ass kicked and you have nothing to back up your shit talk, and you're still talking shit, talking about this ain't an L. Even what some idiotic female in the second interview she did, talking about an L is a win. Yeah, L can be a win. When you do stuff like that, okay, and you got to understand, Sha'Carri needs to understand something. Her camp needs to understand something, okay? I know the mythology that American black females have been brought up to believe, that y'all can never do any wrong, and that you're so outspoken, and that, y'all always going to be winners, and that y'all unbothered. But when the rest of the world sees y'all act like this, okay, the rest of the world is not only going to laugh at you, but they're going to know, they're going to sense your weakness. They're going to see your weakness. Okay? Everybody knows that Sha'Carri went behind a corner somewhere, broke down and cried. Okay? If that girl went 24 hours without crying in somebody's arms or by herself, I would be seriously impressed. Okay? And it's not that I want to see her cry, but we know that this girl we've seen her too many times now. We know that she has she's immature. That's her first problem, okay? She has a very shallow self-esteem. She has insecurity issues, okay? And every L that she takes just makes them worse and worse and worse. Now, not only did she finish dead last, not only did she miss the Olympics because she was smoking marijuana, like I said, we're going to get to that in just a second. But then one of the girls that beat her, because everybody beat her. I mean, to go from first place to dead last, I mean, what can you say about that? But then the girls walk in the camera frame, and that was on purpose. That Jamaican chick and the other two females, one of them I think was even American. I think a lot of these girls don't like Sha'Carri because they know that she's getting a lot of undeserved hype and that she's a little twit. I sense that about the other black girls, especially when they walk in front of the camera, behind the camera like that. You know they did that on purpose, especially the one that was smiling. I told y'all, black women always talking about how niggas ain't shit, but the truth is, a lot of black women don't even like black women. This is why even Tommy said with his goofy ass that a majority of his audience are black women, and he talks about black women like dogs. Okay, so now she has to not only live with finishing dead last up against the Olympic champions, missing the Olympics for smoking marijuana, but now that image of the females that beat her left her in the dust. I mean, she wasn't even a close ninth place, y'all. She wasn't like even on the heels of the eighth person in eighth place. She was dead fucking last. She was left in the dust by everybody. Okay? I mean, Despicable Me could have been up there. These girls gonna treat her ass. And they did that on purpose by walking in front of the camera smiling. Listen, man. Listen. So this is the reason why I say that Sha'Carri Richardson is a reflection not only of the modern day newer generation of black female, okay? You know, this so-called Generation Z. But she is also, and perhaps more importantly, a representation of why the very same black females always on social media talking about how they're winning are taking constant L's. I don't care whether you're talking about, you know, the swirling community. I don't care whether you're talking about the pro-black B1 Hotep community. I don't care if you're talking about, you know, the black love community, the black feminist, black woman first, black woman empowerment community, the team unbothered community. All these females take constant L after L after L in relationships, competitively, you know, in the job market, salaries. I mean, wherever you name it, in the black community, outside of the black community, you know, dealing with other races of people, or in, you know, interracial relationships, they take L after L after L. And it's not because they're black females. It's because of the mentality that they have ingested, that they don't have to do anything but be a black woman. And being a black woman makes them a superstar. It makes them a queen. They don't have to put the work in. Did I tell you guys this story about, you know, helping y'all understand the invalid argument of the feminists about, you know, women should have equal opportunity to men, and how I used as an example how there are countless men, iron workers, welders, electricians, plumbers, countless men fell to their deaths just putting up the Empire State Building in New York City back in the early 20s to back in the 1920s to early 1930s when it was erected. Countless men, I forget how many, but it was countless of men fell to their deaths putting one building up. New York City must have over 100,000 buildings, over 10 stories tall. Okay? That's one building. Do you know how much blood during peacetime, not even during warfare, how much blood and sacrifice it took to construct New York City? And 99.9% of that was built on the backs, labors, and even, yes, the deaths of men. Okay? Women, including these feminists, are not ready to put in the grit and the work that men have put in for men to be in the positions of power that they are in, socioeconomically, militarily, and otherwise, that they use to piggyback off of to talk about how men ain't shit today. Okay? They're not. They want the power without the sacrifice. And we see this across the board. It's not just with black women, but they are just the worst example of this. Okay? Truth is, as Sha'Carri, and now we're going to get to the part, and I'm going to get into closing with this. We're going to get into the part about Sha'Carri making the excuse of her mother passing for the reason why she smoked marijuana. Now look, I wasn't there. I've never lost an extremely close family member. I've had some close calls. I have lost family members, but not extremely close ones. Okay? I can understand that anybody would be emotionally crushed by losing their mother, especially at such a young age. Like I said, Sha'Carri is only 21. Okay? That's understandable. But let's be realistic here for just a second. I'm not saying that she didn't fire up a blunt because her mama died. This is what I'm saying. Had her mama still been alive and her mama, been thriving and there to congratulate Sha'Carri when she won the pre-trials and all of that, had her mother still been alive, then what excuse would have been used when she still tested positive for THC and they found marijuana in her system? What excuse would she have used then? What excuse would she have used then? What excuse would black people have given her then? And the liberals given her then? You see my point? Let's be realistic, okay? Black people, not myself, I've never smoked a blunt in my life, never care to, okay? But a lot of people smoke marijuana, but this is especially popular in inner city areas. You see them talking about it and showing off bags of weed all day, every day. And look, as far as my viewpoint on marijuana, I neither care for it, I'm neither for it nor against it, okay? It's like Phantom of the Opera. I don't give a fuck because I'm not going to see the shit, okay? It don't matter to me one way or the other. I'm not paying ticket admission to see that shit, so I don't care, okay? But we know that these Negroes, they recreationally, they're not smoking medicinal marijuana, to treat pain or some other type of illness, okay? They're smoking marijuana recreationally. This is the norm, okay? When they're at a party or when they're at a club, they're smoking marijuana. When they're chilling at the house with their homies or their girls, they're smoking marijuana. When they're in the car, driving, knowing that they could be pulled over and arrested for driving under the influence, they're smoking marijuana. When they're on social media, taking a selfie, sometimes they're smoking marijuana. A girl is pregnant or just had a child, she's smoking marijuana. They talk about it, they do it. This is something that happens at norm in the youthful generation of black America, okay? This is part of the American culture. Smoking weed, along with smoking Black and Miles, okay? Sha'Carri she's a thought bot. She's a ratchet thought bot from Dallas, okay? You can tell it's not just her weave, it's not just her nails, it's her mannerisms. It's how she responds to things. Sha'Carri literally looks like, and I know everybody knows what I'm talking about. Sha'Carri literally looks like one of them black girls that will fight you if you say something that she don't like. Okay? She's one of them types. It is what it is. Okay? So we know that she has come up in this culture where smoking marijuana, aka weed, aka cannabis, is commonplace. So again, I'm not saying that she wasn't smoking weed because of the death of her mother, to help her calm or soothe down. But I want you to use your imagination to grasp for a second, if you can. What would have happened had her mother still been here? Would she not have fired up? How do we know that this wasn't just a case of her celebrating after winning the pre-trials and smoking with some homies? Or she was just smoking solo, or just doing what she normally did on normal occasion. That wasn't her first time firing up. This is something that she's probably been doing since she was a little girl because everybody else in her environment was doing it. Okay? So let's not see, this is what I'm talking about always giving black people a victim card and a race card. Okay? Let's look, now everybody, including other black people, are calling out Sha'Carri. And she's getting smashed. And again, because I've been 21, of course I'm going to critique her. Y'all know what I think about the black American female. But at the same time, as an older, more mature adult, I do feel a little bit sorry for her because I can only imagine what she's going through emotionally at this point. She's been put up on this undeserved pedestal, okay? Even going up against Nicki Minaj. And from what I hear, Nicki Minaj poked fun at her. Now all this hype, now she's gonna get crushed, underneath this avalanche of people saying that she was a fraud. Okay? When the truth of the matter is, she should have never been put in that spot before she really proved herself in the first place. She never should have been put there. Okay? I hope she can emotionally recover because, man, she about to get, the first time was one thing, but now she about to get it, bro. She gonna get gat. As that nigga told me over Shayla Toby, she gonna get gat. And yeah, I mean, that's gonna have a serious effect on her psychological profile. It's going to have a serious effect on her mental health. The amount of cyber bullying that she's about to get. It's already started, okay? But it's made worse. All of these females go through this. And most of them, it just makes them meaner and aggressive because they try to use that aggressiveness to cover, back to the whole thing about bark and no bite. They try to use the aggressiveness to cover and compensate for the bite that they don't have. All the fast talk, getting in your face, making threats, trying to act big and tough, yada, yada, yada. But, this is going to have an effect on her mental health, especially if she's obviously being poorly managed and poorly coached. That's obvious, okay? If she wasn't being poorly coached, her coach would have told her, don't bring that stupid ass wig on the track, okay? Wear a shorter wig or have your hairstylist tie your shit in a bow, okay? You're not fucking Beyonce. You're not FloJo, okay? Tie your shit up so it doesn't get in the way so that you can have the right start. That was very unprofessional. But anyway, the point is, this girl, she's a child of social media. I had the advantage at 36 years old of being born as a Generation Xer. The time period, the first 20 years before the internet and social media really came onto the scene. But this girl, she was born into social media, just like she was born into the hood of Dallas, okay? So it's going to hit her extra hard. What's happening now? Everybody's calling her out, even a lot of her former supporters, that she was a fraud. I will say that I don't think that she can recover from this in the sense of she's going to be as big of a name as she was before. It's kind of going to be equivalent to what happened to, what's that girl's name? Damn, I forgot her name. She's been irrelevant for so damn long. The white girl that they were calling the Ronda Rousey. Yeah. Y'all remember everybody was hyping Ronda Rousey, the first UFC women's bantamweight champion or something. She was, being really hyped. At one point, they were calling her the most dangerous woman in the world. Some idiots were trying to get her to fight Floyd Mayweather in an MMA match. And then she got her ass kicked by that farm-fed white girl that knocked her out with a kick. And all that hype went out the window overnight. Like, really, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I don't see, unless she obliterates the competition in her next track and field race that she has, I don't see her coming back from this. It's not just that she lost out on the Olympics and she lost terribly in this race. It's how she reacted, okay? Remember what we told y'all about the reason why Rosa Parks was chosen over Claudette Colvin to represent the NAACP's bus boycott down there in Alabama when they decided to start the campaign which began the modern day civil rights movement, because there were several problems with Claudette Colvin's personal life that they felt would be a bad reflection of the movement if they chose to use her, because she's not only going to be the girl that refused to give up her seat, but she's also going to be seen for history. The NAACP, they understood the historical significance of this. Okay, we can't have a 15-year-old immature girl that's pregnant without a husband. She's pregnant, and we can't have somebody like that representing this movement, being the face of this movement. So they basically just copied what Claudette Colvin did and sent Rosa Parks out on orders: refuse to give up your seat. So, we can stir this up into a press event, and we'll use you as the pioneer for all of this. Okay? And unfortunately, whoever's coaching and training Sha'Carri Richardson, they don't understand this, okay? You're not only a professional athlete. You're not only striving to be the champion. You are being seen as a representation of the country that you're racing for. You're being seen as a representation of the black community. You're being seen as a representation for black women. As you said, you want to see women win, okay? You can't be up there acting like a ratchet thought after getting your ass kicked. Now, you can get away with that, doing all that cussing and stuff, if you had a won or even claim in close, if you had a claim in close second, okay? You could have done that and maybe got away with it, okay? But now, I mean, people, they're merciless, they're heartless, and now they see that you're all talk, okay? The worst thing that Sha'Carri could have done, and Sha'Carri doesn't understand this. She says she understands it, but she doesn't. And this is why she needs somebody older. And this is also why you need strong black men. I'm just going to take this time as I close out this video to make the argument for strong black father figures dealing with the youth today. This is also why she needs a father figure there to be a role model for her, okay? Because unfortunately, Sha'Carri, it looks like she was raised by her mother and grandmother, and no shade against her relatives, but we see with a lot of these young people, both male and female, okay, when they're raised in a matriarchal setting with no strong, stable male influence, they tend to be over emotional, overreactive, aggressive, confrontational, and that's very, very unattractive. You're talking about violating community guidelines. That violates community guidelines when you're talking about getting endorsements. But see, Sha'Carri, because she likely, doesn't have that type of influence, she doesn't understand that. She's hood. What she's been taught is you speak your mind. Somebody say something to you, you fight them verbally or physically. You never look like you losing. You always talk shit, even when you get your ass kicked, And so she's she's giving herself a very bad look, okay? When she came out, she even made a bigger fool of herself after she finished dead last in the race. And so again, I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt at first, but now it's become crystal clear that Sha'Carri, unfortunately, and I hope that somebody can get her in a corner. In my opinion, she really blew her chance. I don't think we're going to see her in 4 years at the Olympics. And if we do, I don't think, I just don't see it, because right now she's in her prime. By the time she gets back to the Olympics, she's going to be in her mid-20s. Even if she matured, is she going to be any faster? I mean, she had a slow start in the pre-trials. I really don't think so. I think her time has come and gone. But somebody still, she still has the rest of her life to live, okay? She still can do something as a pro track and field athlete. I hope somebody, preferably a strong black male figure that, was a professional athlete or track and star, a track and field athlete themselves, can pull her to the side and kind of, be a role model for her and give her some advice and just tell her to calm down, stay off social media. The best thing, she's already done enough damage to herself. And I don't mean to keep beating this into the ground, but she's already done enough damage to herself. Sha'Carri needs to stay off social media for a couple of months. I know she can't, I know she won't, and I know nobody's going to stop her. But the worst thing she could do right now is give any more interviews or give any more activity on social media, because all she's doing is sinking her hole deeper and deeper and deeper into the snake's pit, okay? And she's going to get bitten at every step of the fucking way until her career is completely killed the fuck off, okay? Those endorsements are going to start drying up at this point. I mean, when you're at that level of hype, you got to put up or you got to shut up. Okay? Like Conor McGregor in the UFC. That white boy was talking all that shit. Okay? And white people wanted to post him up as the great white hope. Like I said, it's not just Sha'Carri Richardson, but Conor, he won a couple of fights, but then he started to get his ass whooped, including by people he shouldn't have got his ass whooped by. And now Conor McGregor is just another has been that people thought could have been, but never was. They was trying to put him up there with the greats like John Jones and Anderson Silva. He didn't have a record to reflect that. And now it shows. Hopefully somebody can get her in a corner and just tell her, Sha'Carri, listen to me. Honey, I'm going to tell you something that I know nobody's ever told you in your life. Okay? You're young, you're beautiful, but I don't need you. You need you to shut up right now. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. But honey, you need to be quiet. You need to keep your ass off social media. Don't do any interviews, okay? If the media and the cameras are going to see you, if social media is going to see you, let them see you training. Don't say a word. Get back on the track, grind, and just run. Let them see you working and grinding, because that is the only way you're going to have any minuscule chance of getting back in the spotlight and keeping those endorsements and being competitive. Don't say nothing. Don't open your mouth in public no more. Okay? No more. Let somebody speak for you. See, this is why celebrities, a lot of the times, they have what are called press agents. They have spokespeople. Okay? You ever seen when a company is facing controversy? They'll have somebody speak on their behalf, or they'll just say no comment. Because they understand that enough damage has already been done. They don't need to do no more fucking damage. Because their reputation is already in serious threat, in serious limbo. Okay? You have individuals and you have entities that do this. They either say no comment, or they have professional people to represent them as spokespeople. And this includes all the way up to the President of the United States. There's some times that the President, he can't speak on certain matters. So he has something called a press secretary. Somebody who is trained, who is gone to school, and they've been specifically selected to speak for him and not make him look like an idiot, even when he is being an idiot. Okay? And right now, Sha'Carri has made herself look like a complete idiot. And unfortunately, she's making black women look, well, now, is Sha'Carri making black women look stupid? I think they're doing a mighty fine job of that on their own. But nonetheless, okay, she's making her whole camp look bad right now. Somebody needs to make that girl sit down somewhere, okay, and tell her just train for the next race, okay. If you win the next race, maybe we can put this behind us. But you got to stop talking, honey. You got to stop talking. That strong black woman shit ain't gonna help you on the world stage. Hence, the girl that walked behind you laughing while you were trying to excuse why you finished dead last. And just one other thing before closing out this video. I don't know how many people caught it, but in the second interview after the race for Sha'Carri Richardson, and this really is the, entire point of this video. She said, and I don't know if she even caught that because she was running her mouth so fast. She said, I am my own worst enemy. Again, she said, I am my own worst enemy. I don't think she even understands how prophetic and how literal that verbiage was that she used in that second interview. And that is also a reflection of the Black American female. So anyway, guys, that's what I got to say about this. Again, it's a duplicate video on FS Avenger. Thanks so much for listening, and talk to you later, guys.